What if I told you that something I've been preaching for years about nutrition was finally brought to the limelight in the last month or so by a mainstream media outlet and by a very well respected research affiliate? I'm going to go into that in just a second. My name is Pete Weintraub. I'm a permanent weight loss specialist, and you're listening to or watching the Weight Loss by Pete podcast. You can find this on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher if you want just audio, or obviously you can watch this live or at a later time on my YouTube channel. It's the Pete Weintraub Permanent Weight Loss Specialist channel. So I saw this article a month or so ago, and for whatever the reason, I didn't think to actually bring it to your attention. So I was reminded of it this morning, actually, by a guy that I know. He actually sent me on Facebook in a private message, "Hey, I thought you'd find this article interesting." And it was the same article that a former client of mine had sent me and brought to my attention. And it was about a study in the Journal of American by the American Medical Association. Sorry, I can't speak today for some reason. And I'm going to bring that up here if you're watching. If you're not watching, no worries. I'm going to explain what's on the screen here. So basically, what this is showing is a New York Times article. It says the key to weight loss is diet quality, not quantity, a new study finds. And if you look down here, you'll see a new study published Tuesday in JAMA, which is an acronym for the Journal of the American Medical Association. And I can show you that study if you want. Obviously, it's very long, boring. You don't want to worry about it too much, but essentially, this article is correct. And when I went to the study that was linked in that article, you can easily look it up in the New York Times. In fact, the name of this video or podcast, Key to Weight Loss is Diet Quality, Not Quantity, is the same name as the article. So you just go to New York Times, or if you'll go to Google, just type in the name of this video or podcast and look up the affiliated link in the New York Times. And basically, what the study initially set out to do was to compare the effects of a low carb and a low fat diet. And obviously, over the last 60 years, I've done many videos on this. We've discussed how in the 1950s, it was really coming to the public forefront. Heart disease and obesity were first really starting to become problems. They weren't nearly as prevalent, obviously, in society back then, but they were becoming enough of an issue where people wanted to get to the bottom of it. And the sugar, corn, grain, processed food industries realized they were in trouble because there's a bunch of medical literature dating back to the 1800s. And you probably heard of the Banting diet, Sir William Banting, who was this British aristocrat who was very overweight. And essentially he ate, somewhere between a ketogenic and a paleo diet. And he lost a whole bunch of weight and improved his health as a result. And that was in medical textbooks dating back to the 1860s. And all the way through into the 1950s. And it was around this time there was a lot of research done during the World War II to be exact, about the negative effects of sugar and how that is associated with both heart disease and obesity. And same goes for grain, same goes for corn. There were studies coming out, and the lobbyists for those industries knew they were in trouble. So they took to Washington and they wanted to find someone or something else to blame. And they decided to go with dietary fat. And as a result, new lines of processed food products, non-fat, low-fat, reduced fat, all of that flocked the shelves. They were loaded with artificial colors, flavors, preservatives, sweeteners. And when they took out fat, like let's say in milk, instead of having a whole milk, which is whole fat milk, they took out the fat, but they needed to replace it with something that was seemingly satiating. They replaced it with sugar. So essentially, 2% milk, low fat milk, no fat milk, all that was sugary water, essentially had no real nutritional value. And as a result, due to the influx of these products on the market, the obesity epidemic skyrocketed over the last 60 plus years. Heart disease rates have skyrocketed. Various forms of cancer have skyrocketed. Type 2 diabetes has skyrocketed. A lot of things have gone way up in the last 60 plus years. And a lot of it has to do with that. Now, obviously, high-fat diets, especially the ketogenic diet, have been in and out of the public limelight in the last 30, 40 years. It's been back in the public limelight for the last 3 or 4 years. And it's something that I've done personally for an extended period of time and saw very good results on. In fact, when I was finishing off my 100-pound weight loss journey, the last 30 pounds or so, in addition to obviously I cut out dairy because I had taken a food allergy test and realized that I had a dairy allergy. So when I cut that out in conjunction with eating a strict ketogenic diet, I was keeping my macros and everything in check in accordance with the ketogenic diet. I lost the final 30 pounds and thus the rest of my 100 pounds because I'd already lost the 70 pounds that I'd gained while I was in college, but felt I could go a little bit further, which I did. So I'm a big proponent of a high-fat ketogenic type diet. In fact, I still eat a high-fat diet. But this study was set up by the Journal of the American Medical Association to see over a 12-month period who would lose more weight, people eating a low-carb or a low-fat diet. Obviously, like I said, low-fat has been prescribed by doctors, by the media, by the government over the last 60 plus years. There have been some people who have tried to break through the mold and have made a little bit of a ruckus with high fat. And obviously, a lot of people have seen great results in that context, but they go into it. Obviously, there are ways you can, though, eat a high fat diet that are not healthy. If you're eating a diet high in processed foods with trans fats and rich in omega-6 fats, that's not really healthy for you over a long period of time. So there are ways to eat a high-fat diet and not see the results that you want. So it's very important that you're cognizant of food quality, and that's what the study showed. Essentially, there was no difference in weight loss over the 12-month period on average between folks who followed the low-carb or the low-fat diet. The key was that the folks who lost the most weight ate a high-quality diet, a diet rich in real whole foods. And that was the key. And I can honestly tell you, in fact, in the description below, you'll be able to see the link to my food guide and my recipe book. So the food guide goes over the 3 phases of nutrition that I teach my permanent weight loss clients. And why that applies is because phase 1 is essentially a paleo type diet, right? We're focusing more so on food quality, not food quantity. I don't tell people to eat more fat. I don't tell people to eat fewer carbs. I just tell them to avoid certain types of foods, or the grains, the sugars, and the processed foods of the world, and to replace it with real whole foods. That's it. I have a client that I'm currently working with now who has lost over almost 35 pounds to this point, and all she's done is eat that type of diet. She's stayed in phase 1, well, really phase 2. Phase 2 of my food guide is taking that focus on quality and applying it as close to 100% of the time as possible. So phase 1 is 80-20 and focusing on quality 80% of the time, giving yourself 20% of wiggle room. Phase 2 is just cleaning it up. That's the name of phase 2, clean it up. And essentially what that enables people to do is they stay on track for a longer period of time and they're going to see better results as a result. So that's phase 2. Phase 3 goes into more of the ketogenic, lipolytic, which is a sciencey way of saying fat burning type of diet. That's neither here nor there. But I've had clients who have seen great success just focusing on phase 1 and not even getting into phase 2. And I've had some clients see great success going to phase 3 and staying there. And in fact, by the time that we were done working together, they would still be there because that worked well for them. And so it just goes to show you that it doesn't necessarily, you don't need to count calories. You don't need to watch your macros if you don't want to. You don't need to watch your points like Weight Watchers people do. You don't need to buy that processed garbage that Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, Jenny Craig, any of that crap has. You just need to focus on eating real, whole, preferably organic foods. And we've gone over a sentence a million times, and I'm telling you, if you're able to apply this one sentence to every, or close to, you don't have to be perfect, nobody's perfect, but if you can apply this one sentence to as many of the nutritional situations you encounter as you can, whether you're eating at home, or you're out at a restaurant, or you're ordering takeout, you're going to be in a very good position to succeed. That is to eat meats, non-starchy vegetables, raw nuts and seeds, low glycemic fruit, half a cup or less of non-grain-based starch, all right, so avoid bread, pasta, and rice, and no added sugar. That's it. If you can stick to that one sentence in every nutritional situation you encounter, you're going to eat a high quality diet. And as a result, that is going to lead you on the path to weight loss. And if you want to reach your goal faster, you need to be as close to 100% of eating in that capacity as possible. Now, obviously, there are advanced, well, it's a way of saying advanced ways of eating, like the ketogenic diet. There's the if it fits your macros, which I think is a whole load of crap. It's more so for bodybuilders and physique competitors than it is for the average person. But if you can just remember those basic tenets, then you're going to be in a very good position to succeed on not just your weight loss journey, but in either improving your health if you already have some health issues, or in preventing future health issues. Because let's face it, I have a great video about this. I'm going to post a card up above here that in the top 10 leading causes of death in the United States and much of the industrialized world, according to the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, back in 2017, so just last year, 7 of them were chronic diseases that can be prevented if you lead a healthy lifestyle. Unfortunately, a lot of people have this backwards, guys. When they feel they need to lose weight and improve their health, what's the first thing they do? They'll join a gym. They'll start working out. And yes, exercise has been shown to have great and numerous health benefits, but the key to seeing sustained success on the physical side is first getting your nutrition right. If you're fueling your body with crap, exercise ain't going to help you all that much. It's got to come nutrition first. Sleep, believe it or not, is second, because if you don't get an adequate amount of sleep, you're not going to be able to regulate your hormone levels. And in fact, I heard this and I looked it up, and it's true that just one night of lackluster sleep, even if you didn't plan to have a bad night of sleep, let's just say maybe you're a parent, you have a kid who's sick and they wake you up in the middle of the night for whatever the reason, or you have a baby or something and they're crying in the middle of the night and you have to tend to them. One bad night of sleep, you wake up, if you were to measure your insulin levels, you look like you were a pre-diabetic. That's one night of bad sleep. If you consistently don't get enough high quality sleep, you're putting yourself in a bad position health-wise. And because you're going to be in that pre-diabetic type state and your hormones are all out of whack, that's going to make it very difficult for you to burn fat and to lose weight. Even if you're exercising regularly and eating, if you're fueling your body with the right nutrients, the real whole organic foods. So it's important, again, to focus on quality of what you eat and not so much quantity. And one last thought about this before I go. This is groundbreaking, in my opinion. I mean, yes, over the last 5 years or so, certain articles have made their way to major publications that still get a lot of viewership, that have shown, either propaganda from the past, lobbying gone wrong in the past, studies that have been buried because they didn't meet a certain agenda in the past, and now this. And this is in the New York Times. This is one of the most read publications in the world, and this is crucial. And I really sincerely hope that in the next 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years, that the medical communities, our government, and even the pharmaceutical industries can see that, look, the way we did things in the past, where we manipulated people and they were essentially guinea pigs, and we're looking to demonize certain food groups in exchange for getting more money out of certain other lobbying groups. I hope that we can overcome that. I hope that they can apologize, because let's face it, a lot of the people that were in power back then are either dead or they're long since retired by now. And in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, they'll all be gone. These industries and the people in charge now can disassociate themselves from them and say, look, we got it wrong in the past. We're sorry. It has not helped the health or the weight-related issues associated with the general population. In fact, they've made them worse. But now we have studies and we have research that has come out that has shown that actually here's how to do it. And I hope that that can help end the obesity epidemic. I hope that it can help end the various chronic conditions that people are either suffering or dying from on a daily basis. And I hope that one day we can, as a nation, if you're in the United States or even around the world, that we can live prosperously in good health. And that's obviously a very, very grand and big aspiration. But I'm hoping that this being released just a little over a month ago can help turn some heads. So guys, if you like this video, if you like to listen to this podcast, do me a favor, please subscribe to the channel. I'm looking to do one of these Monday through Friday every single week. Also, please leave a review or a comment. I'd love to know what you think, what your feedback is, good, bad, and different. Didn't have my A game today in the beginning, but when I got going, I'm usually in a good mental space. And one last thing, guys, like I said earlier in the show, it was to make a point, but this can help you out. If you go to the description below, there's going to be a link. It's weightlossbypete.com/food guide recipes. Basically, for just $13.99, you can get both my food guide and my healthy recipe book, which is a $50 value for quite a bit. I don't know exactly what that percentage is, but it's quite a bit off. $13.99 for 2 books that are $25 each, or an overall $50 value. So like I said with the food guide, it goes over the 3 phases of nutrition that I teach my permanent weight loss clients. Phase 1 is 80-20 rule. We go over what good quality nutrition is. So we go over that sentence, and then in a little more detail, some other things you can consider when you're trying to clean up your nutrition on your health and weight loss journey. And then obviously you look to eat that way 80% of the time, and you can have some wiggle room another 20% of the time. You'll see results that way, definitely. You'll definitely look and feel a difference pretty shortly thereafter. Phase 2, like I mentioned earlier, is called cleaning it up. Basically, we go from 80-20 to as close to 100-0 as we possibly can. You're not going to be perfect, but like I said, the closer you can get to that, the faster you'll lose the weight and the better off you're going to feel. And then lastly, there's phase 3, which is an advanced way of tracking your macronutrients if you want to lose weight. It's more along the lines of a ketogenic diet. I call it the lipolytic diet, which is again, a sciencey way of saying fat burning, but it goes into those macronutrient breakdowns and how you can possibly fuel your body in the best possible way to achieve good health and to lose weight a little bit faster. I don't recommend doing that all the time, but if you're looking to look good on the beach, or you have an event coming up, you want to look good in a dress or a suit or whatever it is that you're going to wear, then that's definitely something that you can turn to in a pinch if you have a couple of weeks or less to do that. And then also, there's my healthy recipe book. The healthy recipe book has 72 recipes. It spans breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, appetizers, and desserts. And it's a great starting point for all these different types of dishes where you feel like you can't have your cake and eat it too. Well, this recipe book enables you to do that. And it gives you a good understanding of the types of things to watch out for when you're looking to prepare healthy meals and snacks on your own. So check that out. Again, you can get $50 value for just $13.99 today by going to the link below. Thanks so much for listening or watching. Again, this is Pete Weintraub, permanent weight loss specialist. So come back at you with one of these tomorrow. Have a great night, everyone. Talk to you tomorrow.